Oh, good night, good night, good night. Um, I don't know what's up with this computer. Sometimes the picture looks clear, other times it's like blurry, so I don't know what's going on. But as I get more sophisticated, I'll get I'll do the what the sophisticated people do with the cams and what they webcams I think they're called. Anyway, good night everybody. It's almost 11 o'clock. It's 10:56. Right. Anyway, so today was an interesting day. I took a drive I was heading somewhere in Queens. So the last time I went to an airport, the driver, I usually would go up Atlantic Avenue to get to JFK Airport. So the last time I went to an airport, the driver took, oh my God, I forgot that highway. I forgot. I'm terrible. I'm terrible with highways. I am so awful. But anyway, I took the highway to go where I was going in Queens because I'm like, okay, let me see if I'll get there faster, if the drive would be faster and so forth. So, just because I felt like it, because Atlantic Avenue is like the traffic is ridiculous. But anyway, on this highway, traffic is also ridiculous. I think I would have fared better if I had driven up Atlantic Avenue. Because there were so many twists and turns going on this highway. It was like, okay, I don't think I'll be coming this way again. But every now and then I try to experiment, and Queens is so confusing. I made a couple of wrong turns. Because for me, even with a GPS, okay, all right, even with a GPS, I found Queens to be very confusing. So I was confused. But anyway, so I made it there. I came back the Atlantic way. I didn't go the highway way to get back. I went the highway way because I was experimenting to see if that way would be faster. But it turns out it was a longer drive. And I don't think I'll be doing that again. I really don't think so. But anyway, today I'm going to talk about train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he gets old, he will not depart from it. Let me see, it's Proverbs 22:6. I'm just sharing how, the Bible is a guideline on how to live, because people say, well, there are no rules. But yes, we have a brochure, we have a blueprint, we have guidelines on how we should live our lives. All right. So here in Proverbs 22:26, matter of fact, Proverbs give a lot of advice. I mean, you know what? Maybe I should just stay in Proverbs for a while because there's a lot of nuggets there on how people should live their lives. But then you could get like principles of how to live your life throughout the entire Bible. All right. So anyway, Proverbs 22:6 is train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. All right. Well, this this verse is so true. It works for people who believers, and it works for non-believers. So let's say you're a believer. You want to train up your child by taking your child, to church, hanging around people who are Christians, reading the Bible with your child, um, teaching them about Christianity and all the different elements of being a believer in Jesus Christ. So you read the word with them, you pray with them, all these different things. You go over the different aspects of being a believer in Jesus Christ. You share things with them, you pray with them, and all these different things, and you give them a Bible, right? So that's training them in the way that they should go. And when they get older, to be honest, when they get older, they might deviate and start doing things outside, but they will come back to it at some point. So train a child in the way he should go. He means also means females. Okay. Back in the day, he meant males and females. Okay. So don't get it twisted. It's just in the more, in the present times, people like to differentiate for whatever their reasons are. But so that's how it was. And on that vein, right? I remember when I was going to school, there were less crimes because people used to like pray in the school system. I remember back in the day, we used to like have a little prayer session in the school system, but they got rid of that. And I really do believe that, you know, that by getting rid of that, that took away a lot of the moral compass of the, you know, children growing up. I think they took it away while I was in school. It was we used to do it, and then I think while I was in school they stopped doing it. So around that time period, part was we were doing it, and then it stopped when I was in school. So, and I think that that really helped people grow up with a moral compass. Not to say that crimes were not happening, of course they were, but I think I think less crimes were happening, right? But anyway, um, so when you train up a child, no matter what it is, for good, they will, veer towards the side of good. And if you train up in an evil way, they'll veer towards evil ways. You understand what I'm saying? Because some children are raised in, let's say, witchcraft homes. So what they know is witchcraft stuff. You understand how to conjure and do spells and all these different things. So when you train them up, regardless of whether it's for good or for evil, that's the direction that they're going to take. The direction they're going to take is how they were trained. Because I've heard of like people who were into the craft when they were not even like 10 years old. They were in their one digit age range, and they were already being trained, to be a sorcerer or whatever they're called, sorcerer. um mm, well, whatever, sorcerer, witch, wizard, whatever. They were trained even before they reached the age of 10. This is real stuff. And they were terrorizing people. Like, for instance, I listened to this lady Erica and her husband in Life is Spiritual, and I learned a lot from them. It's really, really deep. And the husband, I forgot his name, per se, Babu, I think. Yeah, he was going into the rap world or whatever, and then he got into a relationship with Christ at some point. And Erica, she was into that dark world. She was like she was into the occult in a serious way. And she started before, if I recall correctly, the age of 10. And you can find them on YouTube. So it's like some deep stuff happened in this world. Deep, deep stuff. But when you train up for the most part, and of course, come on, common sense, right? There's always going to be people who deviate from what they were trained up in. You know what I mean? There's always that small section of people. But for the most part, you know what? Sometimes I find it irritating how people just nitpick on certain things. Well, clearly, there's always what is that phrase? There's always a rule, where people you will go off that rule then. So not everything is like 100%. Because you could train up a child in the way he should go, and then and so forth. And then there's always that small section of people that will deviate from that path. You understand what I'm saying? Such is the world. You know what I mean? Because some of the celebrities, well, you know what? Let me ponder that. Because when you train up a child in the way he should go, and when he gets old, he'll not depart from it. Let me ponder that. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna change what I just said. If you train them up in like the depth of the situation, they're not gonna depart from it. When you like go in, when you go in the training, you know what I mean? And and saturate them. Then when you saturate them with the way you want them to go, chances are they're not going to depart. Even when they step out and they start doing their thing at a certain point, eventually they'll find their way back to Jesus Christ. And I remember years ago, right? I learned because I listen to different things because I like to be knowledgeable. And I heard people who are in the occult, they like to raise their kids up to do whatever they want to do. They don't give them restraints. They just let them do whatever. They let them have the freedom to do whatever. They don't like reprimand them or anything. And I learned from listening to like how the people in the dark world raise their kids. That's how they raise them without restraints. They get to do whatever they want to do. From what I heard, this is what I heard years and years ago when I was like growing up. So I find it very interesting that nowadays the way they don't even want the society, they don't even want you to reprimand your children, because the word of God said, "Spare the rod, spoil the child," right? And society, although to be honest, there are some people who go way overboard and they abuse their children, like in a way where there are marks on their bodies and different things. I think those sort of things are wrong, but surely, there are some ways like, you know, you could still use a rod on your child without causing them like to be in that sorry state, if you understand what I'm saying. There are ways to go about it, not to leave them like all marked up and broken up and all these different things. You know what I'm saying? I used to work for child welfare a few years ago, and I had so many interesting cases, and there was this one child, well, there were a few actually, where she was only like 15 years old and she used to spend the night out. And the father was so pissed off, he actually spanked her. What do you think about that? Do you think like he was wrong to do that? And she would be doing this often because she would go away, spend the night, a 15-year-old, and she would be gone for not just a night, if I recall correctly, because I don't want to lie, but she'd be gone for a while, spending the night out at 15 years old. So the father reprimanded her by, I guess, spanking her, and I think she called child welfare, and then that's how I got involved. But I'm like, what does one do with a situation like that? I just got a notification. I just wanted to check it for a minute. There it is true that some parents, they're just overboard and ridiculous. They really abuse their kids. They go in and really, abuse their kids, because and here's another thing. And then there are teenagers or youths, they actually would call the child welfare on their parents because they don't want their parents to reprimand them. Like, and some of these parents didn't even put their hand on them, but because they don't want the parents to tell them, like, oh, you can't do this and that, they would call and make a false claim against their parents. I think that is so sad. But anyway, I digress. I don't even want to get into all of that. They do have emancipated teenagers, teenagers who divorce themselves from their parents. And I also had a scenario where I dealt with an emancipated youth. I think I forgot exactly how old she was, but yeah, I dealt with a lot when I was in that situation. But yes, I believe the Bible, and the Bible has so many good advice on how you should live, how you should raise your children so that they could grow up being morally correct. You know what I mean? Have positive and good values. There's a lot to learn here. There's a lot to learn in the Bible. And when you read Proverbs, it even helped people. The Word of God even talk to people how they should be faithful to their spouse. You know what I'm saying? And tell men like, drink from your own cistern. Now, that's language, drink from your own cistern, that's open to interpretation, but basically that's referring to, be with your wife in that way. You know what I mean? In that intimate way. You understand what I'm saying? And then when you read Song of Solomon, it's like there are sections in the Bible that talks about romantic love, and then it's like also talking about our relationship with Jesus Christ. So the Bible is more than we understand. It's so profound. It is so, if people really, really, really read the Bible and understand what's going on, I do believe this world would be such a more positive place to live in. I do believe that. But anyway, that's what I call to share today. Proverbs, I forgot what it is, because my mind is all over the place. Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So you see the key word here. Child, it talks about the child. You train up the child in the way he should go, and when he is old, OLD, he will not depart from it. So, in other words, you're training up the child might deviate at some point, but as the child gets old, he will fall back in line. See if that makes sense? So, in other words, you want to guide your children the right way. You want to, talk to them, discuss with them what's right and wrong. You know, you give them examples to follow. That's all training up your children in the way they should go. You train them up to be honest people. you know you train them up to be truthful. You train them up to be people of integrity, trustworthy, people with honor and dignity. You understand what I'm saying? You train them in these ways. So as they grow up, they will have these things ingrained and instilled in them, if that makes sense. Because I don't really think that there's any mother on this earth who want their children to be a vagabond or a bad or wicked or evil. Well, there might be one or two, because I've learned some stuff about some parents, like, I don't even want to go there, but I'm going to say this. I know of some parents, I've heard of rather, some parents who would sell their children, you know, soul so they could acquire, wealth and different prestige in the world. They could give their children as a sacrifice. Well, you know what? Yeah. And this is real. They give their kids up to the dark side for wealth and prestige and all these different things. But I'm not gonna go that way. It's just some things when I think about it, it just makes me feel sad, right? What a world we live in. But basically, God is such a good God. God is such an awesome God. God is wonderful. And He is so worthy to be praised. And I bless Him so much, because God is everything and He's worthy to be praised. And I honor Him and I sanctify Him and I glorify Him, because He is just a wonderful God. You understand? God is wonderful. And I strongly suggest that you read the Bible every single day. Read more than a chapter. Read to understand, not just to say, oh, I read it, but read to understand. Reading to understand is different than just reading to say, oh, I read, but reading to understand. That is very, very important. And it will just open up your understanding so much, and it will bless you. When you read the Bible, you will be blessed when you read the Bible. Real talk, real talk. And I just bless God and I worship Him and I sanctify Him and I glorify Him, because He is so worthy to be praised, and I honor Him and I bless God's holy name. All right, so that's it. I am getting off right now. I'm logging off, and I'm going to say thank you. Oh, don't forget to share. What is it saying? Share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe. And for whoever listens to this in the future, I hope I you learn something from it. And if you can like send me a note or whatever. I don't know what it's called when you send it here. I gotta ask my friends what what the language is. Let me know what you think. But I'm thinking maybe I should put in a poll. Should they bring back prayer in schools? Well, I don't think a lot of people will really go for it because there's so many different religions, you know, because back in the day, though, it was basically more like Christian prayer, but there's so many other factions and different things going on in the world. Anyway, I am going, and I will see you when I see you. And I pray that you have such a blessed day tomorrow and that you're healthy and all is well with you and your family members. And may God bless you and keep you. And may He let His light shine upon you and give you peace. And I will see you when I see you. Bye.